Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another Alkebulan Awakening series in collaboration with Kumbukeni. As you know, my name is, as always, is Allah Diledosumu, the son of the soul. You know what we do on this platform? We're about awakening our consciousness and decolonizing our minds. And you know, I'm the co-founder of the Emerging Alkebulan. Welcome to another series. My co-host Nduku, go for it.
And here I was waiting for you to tell us you changed your name. Hello. I am always Nduku, the host on Kumbukeni. Looking forward to this conversation because I honestly think our family dynamics, which love is a big part of, needs to be fixed. We need a lot of healing in that space. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. Yes, and again, we are telling our story from our own perspective, reclaiming our narrative, and countering the false narrative that these criminals keep trying to put out on us. So this is what we do. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I can see our guest there. I'm gonna let her introduce herself. She does a lot. She got a finger in so many pies, man. She does a lot, but she'll introduce herself. Welcome to our series, Shanika.
Peace and love, everyone. My name is Shanika Malcolm. I don't like introducing myself because, we're all multi-dimensional and have so many layers. So for me to talk about one layer and focus on that, it's a disservice. So the way I can introduce myself and cover everything is that my mission and vision is planetary, healing, and liberation. And when you reached out to me about, speaking in this interview today, and I remember I said, and then when you reached out to me, I think yesterday, and you were like, what's the topic? And love and liberation. There's no liberation without love. And as collectively, there's no liberation without knowing, loving ourselves, the divinity and the king and queens that we are, So I wanted to bring those two together because specifically myself, my purpose is to amplify love, to express the love of my own self in this reality. And that's the purpose of all of us. And we get to choose the vehicle that we express that love and be of service to our people for our collective healing and liberation. So I say ashe, ashe, ashe. I am grateful and I invoke the powers and the voice and the spirits of my ancestors to move through me and use me as that vessel that I always tell the Most High that I'm open to this mission. So I love to, I'm a channel, so as I'm talking, things just come and move through me. So I love to just be open to the energy, and shins will move off of that too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Actually,
thank you,
this
Shanika.
rise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that one more time.
I was gonna say this rising before I hopped on, I went hiking, as I usually do, and just connecting with nature, and it was really talking about the love of the man and the woman being able to come together and unify in purpose and in vision and mission, and to elevate our love, because many of us in the Western world and through colonization and indoctrination, and given to us in these stories and narratives by the colonizer, it's a very low, because even when we tap into that sexual energy, can use it to create and amplify and relation in our union.
I agree.
So
Okay.
I hope you can
I
hear
agree. Yeah, let's go to the topic, my sister.
The jungle. So
it keeps going in and out, but we're not losing the sentences. Yeah, so it's a little choppy.
In and out. Okay.
Yeah, let's go straight to the topic. Let's talk about love and liberation, please. Did you hear me?
Yes, you said talk about love and liberation, but it's a little choppy.
Yeah,
Thing. Okay, can you hear me now?
yeah, we can.
Okay,
Yes. Mhm.
alrighty. So I don't know what you've heard already because it was going in and out. Um, yeah. So love and liberation as a people. What do you want to dive in? Um,
You know what? Let me help get us there. So we are, and I'm happy. I heard you mention this in one of the videos I was watching of yours. We are today in a climate where, and I'm, by the way, when we are speaking today, we are speaking of Wana Ubuntu, African people, the children of Ubuntu. I'm not speaking of anyone else outside of that. Not because I don't love them, but because I'm focusing on our community to bring healing to our community. So this is our focus in the conversation. So in our community, our global community, we are in a climate where there's dysfunction and lack of love in the family. And the men are blaming the women are blaming the men, and the children are blaming the parents. No one is taking responsibility. Yet, from my perspective, I believe everyone is responsible for the downfall of the family, including those outside. But we have to
peace,
focus
peace,
on our
peace.
participation. So, speak on it from that perspective,
So
because
this
I think,
connection isn't good. Yeah.
okay.
It's not good.
Peace.
Do you wanna go out and come back
All
in?
right, the connection isn't going to move. I, I'm going to move locations and I'll be back on in
Yep.
5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. And just be patient with us, everyone. Um,
Yeah, we can
yeah,
dive into it.
Oladele, let's talk about that while we wait for Sis to come back. I don't know if you've noticed the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, I do. And this is basically, my perspective is the fact it's a self hate thing.
Hmm.
It's self hate because
Same.
when you don't know your true identity, I don't know who you are, and people are trying to draw you from different angle, different perspective for you to fit into, you lose yourself. So, and the narratives are not helping us as people because we Africans, I always say this, we are the first on this earth, but we don't know who we are. So a lack of identity, a lack of self-confidence, and the paradigms that they've created for us to fit into, because all these things that, lack of self-hate, love, it's not us. It's what's written into the curriculum, is what we see. But what we're doing is we're living it. We're fitting into it. It's like a self-perpetuated self-hate where they create a narrative for you to fit into and you fit it into it. And you're basically showing that that's what they say you are. You're trying to say that's who you are, even though that's not you.
Yeah.
So it's deeply psychological. And this is a kind of the trauma that we as African people are going through all over the world. It doesn't matter where you are. It could be in Africa, it could be in the States, you can see it. What we're doing to ourselves. Look in Africa, how we would kill, steal from ourselves. Even if you see what's going on inside, we talked about this in South Africa right now, where the Africans are calling out each other black people to go back to their country, when the country that you are clinging onto was created by a white man.
Something, I'm glad you said that. And today we may detour, but still talking about love, right? Love and liberation. I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
I was explaining on Friday. I did a broadcast to explain the importance of us going back and learning our history. And one of the things that I've been talking to elders, my parents and other elders, about this throughout the week. The thing that we do not acknowledge or understand, a lot of us don't understand, is that these and this unrest, these incidents of Africans attacking Africans, are usually not Africans. They are actually being fueled by others who
Yeah, I
want to see
agree.
that unrest. So these people have
Yeah.
been paid by covert operatives, CIA, MI5, whoever, they're paying them in the back, the economic hitmen, right? John Perkins talks about this. This is one of their strategies. And they pay people who are desperate for money because people have already been pushed by the system to a place of desperation. And they tell them, go attack this group. And this is how you're going to move. Go attack that group. So, like, for example, in Kenya, the protests in Kenya, you have some people who are vandalizing and all that, but it's not the protesters. It's not the main organizers of the protest. And so it ends up looking like it's and guess what? The elders who are not participating are saying, these youth, they are destroying property. These youth, so they know that that's what's going to happen. In South Africa.
And Nduku, and what they're doing there is then the media will be on those places. They will put the cameras there to highlight that.
Because it's all connected. The CIA is very active when it comes to media propaganda. Very active from a long time ago. It is all part of one system. That's why I get irritated when people say, stop talking politics. Politics is your food. The food you get on your table is politics. How good that food is politics. Whether you're eating healthy food or not is politics. Your access to your doctor is politics. You being able to move from one place to another is politics. You being able to go to your church and not being shot in church is politics. So you tell me how you can remove politics from it. But so this is something that we need to be aware and start identifying the people in our community who are paying. For example, now in Kenya, we have elections coming up in 2027. And apparently a lot of the leaders who are standing are accumulating weapons. Who's paying them? Who's giving them these weapons? And right before elections, you're going to see Kenyans will be killing each other if nothing is done to stop this. So it seems to us like it's us who are attacking each other. Go back to FBA, ADOS. Who's funding them? ADOS, it's known, is funded by white entities, right? And so there's and it's, again, Black people keep coming to me and saying, why do you keep blaming white people? I keep blaming white people because they're doing it.
They are doing it, but we are the gatekeepers of the evil, because we are doing it to ourselves, not realizing that we're being pushed. It's called divide and conquer, fighting yourselves to distract you so they can keep infiltrating.
Yeah.
The thing is that when we talk about these things, guys, it's deeper than what you guys think. It's not superficial. You know, these are entrenched, like Nduku said, the FBI, the CIA. They're basically, these people are sleeping within your community. They are there. They're amongst you.
The girl that's going to come and flirt with you as a minister, and you're like, wow, this beautiful girl came to flirt with me in Nairobi, and you've never seen her before. It's like, hey. And then here are the telltales. And John Perkins paints a great scene in Confessions where the woman gets him in a room and he starts falling for it, like, right? But at one point in the room, he's like, this is too easy. And being someone who's been trained in that space and knowing what they do, he realizes he was being trapped. And this is what happens. They catch you on camera. You don't even know that the hotel has already been bagged. Cameras have been put in place. So just as our sister is coming back on, Shanika, I want to say we have to love each other so much. We as Black people have to love ourselves and each other so much that nothing, even in moments of desperation, will take us away from that love. Nothing will dissuade us and have us attacking ourselves and each other. Okay, I'll let Shanika continue.
Hi, Shanika. How are we, darling? Can you hear us?
I think it's still coming on. Give her a minute or two.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still sorting that out. So these are the challenges, and it's interesting. I'm glad we're seeing her in Colombia, South America, with the same internet channels, challenges, so that you understand it's not just Africa, it's not just South America, it is the system that denies us access to these resources.
Peace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, we got you now. We got you. Can you hear us?
Right, it says I'm in the show. I can hear you.
Yeah. You can hear. We can hear you. That's it.
Yes. I'm bad about that. Okay.
That's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
If it happens
Okay.
again, try turning off the video, so because sometimes that helps.
Okay. It should be better now. I
Okay.
switched
Under.
locations. It's just Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. Did you get the backdrop in terms of what Unduku was saying?
love and liberation. I believe it as far as for our people, African descent, Africa diaspora globally.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If you want to if you want to go into that for us, because we're talking about the self-hate that's got
Yes,
us where we are, yeah.
yeah. I mean, as we know, the story of colonization, these ideas and self-hate limitations that have been placed upon us, the shackles and chains of slavery that many of us thought were removed when slavery so-called ended, they were placed upon our minds and our spirits, you know?
Mhm.
So, I call upon the revolutionary spirit of Marcus Mosiah Garvey and his message and vision of a people and the movement he started to unite us, by bringing together, you can say the brightest and mightiest of us, and that is all of us when we tap into our potential and power as a people, especially when we unify and come together under the same vision and mission of liberation and healing. My work is what happened. I'm not
We're
seeing
here.
y'all.
We're here.
Okay,
We're just centering you.
okay, all right. now I know what's going on. So my work of planetary healing and liberation is from that healing perspective of, the trauma that we have endured as a people and how, many people of other races like to dismiss our pain and trauma as a people and say, well, slavery ended, get over it. When you break it down scientifically, epigenetically, on a DNA perspective, we carry that trauma epigenetically through our DNA until the ones of us who have the capacity and the awareness to bring those patterns to awareness and to heal them so that our lineage can move forward in a good way. So I believe this is the work that we're called here to do, and whether if it's ones like us who are using our voice and bringing this message and unifying people with the vision of healing and liberation, or if it's ones that are on the front lines, or planting the food or teaching the children. So we have to unify and know that everything that we're doing, the goal, the aim, the destination, the process is for freedom and liberation of our peoples, and then to take that even further globally, because none of us ain't free unless we're all free. The same mindset of colonization, capitalism, the self-hate and the symptoms thereof, many of us have taken that on and have confused that as our natural state. The one that wants to compete, that wants to fight your brother, the crab in a barrel mentality. Those are all vices and ways that we have learned and inherit that we need to weed out. You understand? So that the true abundance and blessings of God of our ancestors can be planted in the deep, 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 fertile black soil, which Africa is, which all of us are, no matter where we are in the diaspora. So I'm just taking a
So,
little
but
break because
sorry.
I can. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about the abundance love. As Africans, you talked about Ubuntu. I am because you are. You are because I am. That's who we are. But through the trauma that we've gone through, we've kind of lost the love and liberation within
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
That we seem
Yes.
to be looking for it where it's not. Can you just break that down a little bit for us? How can we redefine ourselves?
Yeah,
How can we find ourselves?
yes. Beautiful point. We have lost the love with the liberation. And in in the movement, the Black liberation movement, the Black Power, the Black Panther Party, and these different movements, we had that revolutionary and that fiery spirit, but in some ways the deeper aspect necessary to help open us up and alchemize and transform that pain and turn it into our power is what has been missing. So when you talk about the deeper aspects of holistic healing, being able to tap into ancestral traditions and gifts that we have here for our healing, whether if that is movement or plant medicine, those things are here to help us heal so that we can tap into that powerful and unlimited love that we have, that we are purposely here to create from. You understand? So when colonization and the trauma impacted us, it didn't only mess us up mentally, it messed us up spiritually in our hearts. The way as a people, how we are open naturally, we're connected to the earth, we're connected to spirit, we're naturally open and abundant. And that's in a way, in some places, where our downfall, because we didn't have those boundaries and systems in place to protect us from these systems that look to capitalize on us. So I would say right now, as we move forward, we need to tap into the love and unify that with the liberation. So all the movements that we're doing, we need to come together as a community and a people, and to tap into those ancestral gifts that help us to heal our hearts and the trauma and the pain that we've taken on, the pain that lives within us. We have to, in a way, find a way to move past that so that we can tap into the love and the power that we have to change this reality. And then when it comes down to it, the willy lynching of the Black man and the Black woman and the breaking up of the Black family was very intentional, because they know of our power and our love when we are unified in one, with one purpose, one vision, one mission, and what is possible. So now what we have is a lot of noise and argument about on the internet about the Black man is this, the Black woman is that, the woman is this, woman is that, keeping us divided, you know the conquer and divide tactics. So as a people, we need to see past that, and as men and women, to know that we are not competition. One is not better than the other. We actually complement each other. So if we can get past all the bullshit and the programming and the trauma, and unify in that love as divine beings, and channel that and unify to create what it is that we desire. And there's levels to it. So from the healing perspective, I've gone into meditation, the healing arts, tantra, and working with sexual energy. And when we can tap in on so many levels and unify as men and women, and even our sexual union and our intimacy is a healing force that we can use to channel that energy for our own healing, our own awakening, and our own liberation.
Um, I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's interesting. So I'll say something quickly about that. The word sex, just the word sex. So when you say sexual, the responses that people I'm imagining is happening everywhere as they listen. It has been so villainized and so what's the word? It's almost like dirtified. Uh, Figure
Bastardized.
Yes, right. So the word sex itself has been so painted in such a negative way that our response when it's said is, you know, it's like, what are we talking about? That's not classy. That's not professional, because
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
Western culture has made us believe. And I say this all the time. That's a very important part in the relationship between man and woman. So as we continue the conversation, I'm going to ask everyone, open your ears and do not shy away from the conversation when you hear that word. But my question, and you touched on it just now. I was gonna ask, and then I guess I'll dig deeper so that you can speak to it more specifically. How do we unlearn the toxic relationship patterns introduced by imperialist systems, right? The patriarchy, the domination, the competition between us, which is what you were talking about now, which is what gets us to the point where we're saying the men are saying it's you women who've destroyed the family, the women, it's you men who destroyed the children
Yeah.
are my parent, right? Explain, what does it mean to love beyond the word? What actually are the actions that we need to have to show love to each other?
Love is more than a word. For on the highest level, love is a frequency. And everything is energy and frequency. So you can decide what frequency you want to vibrate on, and that will create your reality. So one of the highest frequencies is love. We'll start there. And then in the physical world, I said love is more than a word. It is action. If you say that you love me, what are the results of that? How is that informing your behavior? How is it informing your consciousness, and how do you relate to yourself and to others? So when we say we love each other, we are looking at taking radical responsibility for ourselves and how we show up and what we create in our lives. That is love. You understand? And I was on the beach the other day, and this intuition, this insight came in, and spirit said, when a man really loves a woman, and he does that by showing up in his masculine energy and providing and protecting this woman and his family, so she can show up as the divine feminine and be able to receive the abundance that the universe has to flow through and be created through her. And in their union, this is more than a physical commitment that this man is showing up. He is showing up, and this woman, to love and honor this woman as the goddess she is, part and parcel of divinity. And when a man does that, he is given favor and abundance in this reality, because this is more than a physical act, it is a spiritual act. You understand? So when I when I talk about love, it's many levels to it, but like I said, it is taking action. If you say you love your family, you are going to want to do everything to, one, show up in a loving state and to be in a place of freedom, to be your best self, and to put the patterns to create what you desire. So for us as a people, love comes down to responsibility. And our conditioning wasn't our fault on some level. When you reach an adult, you now have the responsibility to clean up your house, to clean up your heart, and to liberate your mind. So as a person, getting the tools and the resources to heal and actualize. And all of us, we have childhood trauma and wounds that inform what we believe about ourselves, how we relate to relationship, how to relate to money, how we relate to everything, is from the home and the mirror of our mother and father as the mother god, father god in this reality. So when your parents did not get the love that they needed to heal and actualize, those wounds are passed on to the children. And this is how it is passed on generationally until one of us can say and acknowledge the wounds and be able to do the work that it takes to heal them. And that is the deeper shadow work. This work, many people like to distract themselves from doing the deeper work because it's painful. It's painful to admit and look at the pain that you might have gotten from the people who are supposed to love you the most. And when we talk about pain and trauma from our parents, many of us might look at or think about more extreme cases. We might think about, a lot of abuse or something big that has to happen. Trauma is like not feeling safe in the body and then not having the tools to process what you're going through. So it doesn't have to be like a house on fire. It doesn't necessarily have to be sexual abuse. Other ways safe to show up in yourself, and it causes different issues. Whether if it's insecurity, whether if it's a lack of love and self-worth, and then you're taught to people please and seek love in relationships and from an external source all the time. And we see that when we don't get the love that we're meant to get from our parents and those that are closest to us, and then we use sex as a gateway to now get that attention and that love that we didn't get from our mother or our father, or even both, in relationships. So when we are called to do this deeper work, you're not only healing yourself, you're healing those family dynamics and what will come forth from yourself and any other union that is initiated.
Yeah, my sister. Um, we tend to. I know where you come from in terms of your healing, the work you do. We African, so I say we African people because we're Africans. We tend to go fit into systems that are created for us. For example, capitalism. That's one of the biggest challenges facing we Africans all over the world because we think
Yeah.
that is what's going to fulfill us. That's what's going to manifest us. Whereas
Yes.
this is one of the biggest tools working against us. If you want to talk about that,
Yeah.
also
Oh,
religion is
yes.
another
Yes.
challenge
Yes.
that's taking us away.
So
So
you're
basically, when we're talking about love, we're taking away. We're using the tools of the oppressors to manifest ourselves. Whereas it's basically working the other way. Speak to that if you don't mind, please.
yes. I mean, we grew up in these capitalistic systems. If you were like me, I went to a public school, which is state funded indoctrination that we call public and free education. You understand? And we're taught to do things in a specific way that teaches us different patterns and beliefs of how to compete and be successful within this system. You understand? And many of us think that, yeah, we take on those values of capitalism, of colonization, and think that, like it starts like in the classroom when they train us that 9 to 5 mentality, and having the master at the front of the classroom that you have to have permission from. So when you are trained in that way for 12 years, now it is in you to know that, okay, all I got to do is just go get a job in the system and follow along with these rules. So schooling, it is an indoctrination and training of a way to be, how to make a slave.
Including the
So,
grading system. Include that
including
too.
the grading system, yeah. Because now it is like a dopamine effect where you seek that approval from other people. So instead of tapping into the great God self and the creativity that is within you and being able to flow and tap into that, you're now stuck on the breasts of Babylon in this artificial matrix. You understand? So many of us as African peoples, we do believe that to get ahead, we need to, you know, play the oppressor's game. We need to now compete with our brother and build these businesses and accumulate this wealth and make sure that our family are good. But how can we create like true and lasting wealth if your brother is in poverty? And we see it in the ghetto when crime is rising, because it's like if somebody have and then there's the have-nots, it naturally causes crime. What you put a man in a position to either feed his family or they have to starve. A man is going to rise. I would believe many of them rise and become a man, even if that means being a criminal. So as a people, we need to say, okay, you know what? Let me be smart. I do need money if I'm going to be in this matrix until I can use these resources I have to find another way to freedom, which is another side note why I believe in the eco village or the Quilombo tradition of getting back to the earth and working together as a community for our collective healing and liberation and the tie and connection that has to the land. Love and liberation is directly connected to the land and our relationship within it with it, not just our relationship that the matrix has given us with the fiat currency and money. That's what we've been taught to cultivate and to chase, you know? So, and then when you come to religion, it's the same mentality and training of this external God that is outside of yourself. You're going to pray and worship to Him to one day, my God, by Jesus, one day He will free and liberate us. We just got to keep going on and believing and praying and chiving and jucking and singing and dancing. We know we're taught to, like I said, be very passive,
No,
very passive.
you laugh, but you're right, because recently I was in a space, a religious space, where a song was sung, and the song was "I Will Not Complain." And the singer talks about all these things happening to me, but I will not complain, Lord. Oh, my body is in pain, but I will not complain, Lord. I'm going through but I will not complain, Lord. Y'all, how do you
Yeah,
not complain when you're being killed and harmed? So yeah, continue. That's
yeah.
in a religious space.
And you know what? Even in those words, there's power in them, because when you take religion and you take it to the higher aspects of spirituality, there's power in those words, because no matter what you're going through, you have the ability to transcend and transform that. So even in the aspect of not complaining, you know that even in the complaining, you're giving energy to that. So there's a higher level, but most of us are not taught to activate and actualize that space. And the true esoteric teachings that we can go through in religion that has now been covered up to make us passive. So when we hear "I will not complain," it is more from the lower understanding and aspect of, that church mentality of "I won't complain because I know God will take care of it one day somehow," and and it comes down to, liberating ourselves with awareness of knowing who we are, knowing the power of our words, the power of our frequency, the power of our emotions, and the power of these hands, and the power of our heart and our consciousness. And for women, the power of our wombs. You understand? So the powers of all these things that have been distilled to create each of us beautifully individually, so that we can come with the gifts that we have, the blessings and the abundance of our ancestors of spirit, to offer that love in the world for our collective freedom and liberation. So I'm thankful for the work that you two are doing. And what is so beautiful in the message that has been coming through for me, and I feel like it is for the collective as we move forward, it is coming back in right relationship with ourselves, so that we can come into right relationship with our opposite. So the man and the woman, and our ability to unify, like I've been saying, with the collective vision for the love and liberation of ourselves, our people, our community, and planetarily.
Um, so Oladele, this,
Yeah,
I'm gonna ask this question,
yeah.
because this is a side of love that I think is important we understand. How do we practice militant love, right? The kind that demands justice, resists exploitation, and defends dignity. Because people are out here talking about you can't be violent, but that violence against violence is love for my people. So speak about that.
I will say that's what you call boundaries. It's what you
But you
call
you you
boundaries.
you can't be out here killing my brothers and sisters in Congo, in Sudan, and everywhere. And I'm just
And you talk about love and being peaceful, because the colonizer only their language is violence, and that's what they understand. So in times of peace, the work of Martin Luther King is necessary. But in times of war, you need a different strategy to combat and to defend a people. And that's where the men need to unify and rising their power as the protectors of the women and the feminine and the children. So that's where the men need to say, you know what? The brotherhood needs to come together. We need to train. We need to know these things and rise in the power of that energy and be able to be militant, so the women don't have to be. You understand? And, historically, we've had warrior women, but that was out of necessity. So in my vision is the men being able to rise in their power as the protectors there are, and so the women can be the channels, they can be the nourishers, they can be the creator, like we can bask in that energy, but we need that structure, which is the masculine. If you look at a river, there's the flow of the river, that is the feminine, and then the masculine is the riverbank that is directing and guiding that energy, or else the water would just be all over the place. So that's my take on that. We do need our own, you can say, if you want to say military, look at Burkina Faso and what our brother Ibrahim has been able to accomplish, and that's called boundaries. He had to tell these people, like, no, this is the boundary, this is our country, this is our people, you're not allowed anymore to come in and dictate what is going to happen. This is our resources, we are the wealth, we're the breadbasket of the planet, and we're done with the exploitation. And this is my prayer for all of Africa. It really is, that we stop being the breadbasket for the whole planet and allowing the exploitation. We have to love ourselves enough and unify with the whole of Africa, because what colonization has done is they came into Africa and they bordered and create borders and divided tribes and people without any relationship with the land and the tribes and the geography of the land. You understand? So when we can do away with that aspect of colonization and unify as a people across borders, because Africa is, it's a big continent, but it's one country, and when we can see beyond that and unify, that's when things are going to really change on a global scale.
Just to add to what the sister said, Sister Shanika said quickly, Oladele, before you ask your question, I put there the Kenya Freedom Struggle, the book, the Kenya Freedom Struggle, the Dedan Kimathi Papers by Maina wa Kenyati. You can learn how the Kenya Land and Freedom Army, otherwise known as the Mau Mau, organized the family to defend the community that was under attack. The men took on that role to defend the community, but the women also played a part. The women were doing the medicine. The women were feeding the men. The women were the intelligence. They were collecting information and bringing it back to the men. So there's different roles we play, but the men were the forefront. They were the active,
Hmm.
holding the weapons and all that. So that book is a great example of how we as a family can show love, that necessary, violent love in defense of your community.
Okay, Shanika, you deal with healing, natural healing. We Africans are losing. We've moved away from our natural food to all the processed crap. Excuse my language. I'm not even. I'm not apologetic about saying that. We have moved away from our natural food, our natural nutrients, to embrace.
Hmm.
Despite we talked about religion, we talked about education. Now our food's been attacked. How do we get
Yes.
back to getting back to who we Africa? We still have the land. How do we go back to that? Because it's not too late.
No, it's definitely not too late. And like I said, our liberation and our freedom, our love comes back to the land and our connection to it. So that comes to learning from the earth how to work with the abundance and the elements that are here to create more abundance. We need to move away from standardized or big agriculture, where it is a dependence on outer inputs like fertilizer, chemicals, which are actually wreaking havoc on the soil and actually killing microorganisms, which would actually benefit and create more nutrients in the soil. So we need to break up with this death cult that we're in with the Western world and capitalism. So did you know that during like World War I, World War II, Agent Orange, the gas that was used and those chemicals that were designed for warfare is what was then repurposed to use in agriculture. Do you understand the war
Yeah,
that this
yeah,
thing that
yeah,
was used
yeah,
to
yeah,
kill people
yeah.
now went into our soil and it was repurposed to kill us slowly another way. So, getting back to ancestral techniques and ways of farming, things like permaculture, biodynamic farming. Listen, people are so brainwashed. They will think that farmers are, peasants or just, not very important. But he who feeds the people controls the people, and we have been controlled. We're under the whip. So I believe if more people got back to the earth, it would naturally heal them on so many levels, starting with the food, starting with cultivating that relationship with the natural world and the elements and the spirits and the prana and the life force that are in the earth, the fire, the water, the air, and then being able to grow and cultivate a relationship with the foods and the intelligence that these plants have. Because when you get out into nature and you tap in enough, the trees will talk to you. They'll tell you what you need, they'll tell you how to work with them. So these are all gifts of the spirit of our ancestors that we have, but have been latent because of the programming and the limitations that have been put on us through the school, through religion, through the brainwashing and the indoctrination to not know our power and purpose of who we are as spiritual beings put into this physical reality to create magic.
Also, sorry, Indigo. Also, my sister, you're into herbs as well. Okay. My grandfather used to be a herbalist, and I always say in those days, even though I wasn't there, but I still have my mother that talks to me, and they use herbs to heal, to do all sorts of things. Now, what we have now is chemicals, and the more processed food we eat, the more sicker we get, and we feed into what then. So how can we get back to it? Because herbs are natural. Our body
Hmm.
needs these kind of healings. Can you speak to that for me, please, darling?
I would say it's all about cultivating a natural lifestyle. Because when you talk about herbs and natural medicine, are you approaching it from a holistic perspective, or are you still using the allopathic modality? Allopathic medicine says you have this symptom, take this medicine, and it will cover up those symptoms. It didn't say we're going to get to the root cause of the disease and to heal it and let it go from the body. So this is a very codependent relationship. Are
No,
you
you're
in a
right.
codependent relationship with the the Western medicalized complex? That is a question to ask yourself and be real. And
Mm.
when you want to come back to natural liberty and harmony, like I said, you have to approach it from the lifestyle. So look at the different aspects of your life. How are you feeling emotionally? Because at the root of all disease is an emotional imbalance, a spiritual imbalance, a mental imbalance that, given time, will manifest in the physical body. So if you can get to the root cause of the disease, the healing happens a lot faster. And then if you can utilize the plants, the medicines, the things that nature gave us for our healing, it will help in that way even faster. So this is how people are able to experience miracles. You understand, when the medicalized complex give you a death sentence and say, well, you only have 6 months to live, you only have a year to live. Many people need that kind of wake up call for them to take their life seriously and to start a new path. A lot of people have to be on their deathbeds, and then sometimes they still don't wake up and choose to make the changes that they need to. So many people have been deeply disconnected. They've been out of alignment for many, many, many years. Whether if it's working a job that you don't love, being in a state of anger or frustration, out of alignment with some area and aspect of your life, and then to think that some pill or even some plant is going to fix it. And these things are tools that help. But the real healer is your awareness and your consciousness and your willingness to do the work and to go deep and to look within. Anything else is like an aid or an ally for that. So myself, I love to work with the medicines, the herbs, and even the what you would call hallucinogenic plant power plants, because of the just the intelligence that the plant has, and couple that intelligence of the plant with our intention for our healing and however we want to direct that energy for our lives, we experience miracles and healing that happen.
Yeah. And
So I was talking about the lifestyle. So if
yes.
practically, you want to break it down practically. How is your sleep? How are your relationships with the people that you're connected to on a daily basis? What is your emotional ground point? When you wake up in the morning, are you grateful or are you angry and are you complaining? These
Mm,
things are going to create your vibrational reality, which will go out to then inform your life and send the messages and signals out there, which are then going to be reflected back to you in your relationships or the harmony or the disalignment that you're able to achieve haphazardly create in your life. So let's make it very simple and plain. Coming back to eating fresh fruits and vegetables, we know if it's in a package, think twice about it. So the if
mm-hmm.
you can come back to eating as much whole grains, whole foods, non-processed, it's the best for you. It doesn't have to be complicated or call it veganism or whatever. Whole foods and vegetables. If you're blessed to live somewhere tropical like I am and you have access to that, you can go outside when it's mango season and pick a mango or pick a soursop. You want to like start shifting your life. If your intention is for harmony and peace and elevation, you want to start shifting your external reality to mirror and reflect that. So if you're still in the cities,
Yes.
you want to think about shifting, because just being in the city, you're already in that western mindset of hustle and bustle, and your life is already set up. It has to be set up for convenience and not
Yeah.
necessarily health and wellness, because you're on that in that kind of rat race. So for me, I said forget it. I love nature. I know this is where I want to be, and I always come. Even when I live in the city, I always find the state parks, and at a certain point I was like, I can't do this no more. I can't, because to maintain a certain level of elevation and frequency, it is very hard to do it in the city.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm
Yeah.
out here, so that I can be in that naturalness of the love and the joy that is so open and abundant for us, to experience and to live a good life and to feel good. We're made to feel good. We're made to experience pleasure and joy as our natural baseline on a daily basis.
You know how serious what you're saying is I'm currently in the United States, and I travel home often. And the last time I was home, I had a friend who they're in the United States as well. So they had been talking to me in the United States, right? And they were, and then they talked to me when I was at home, and they said, "You're such a different person when they talk to me when I'm home. You're so much more happier." Like they literally said that, and I feel it. And they may have pointed it out, but I feel how different I am when I'm at home. Just so much at peace. I remember my brother making fun of me. Are you running for mayor? Because I'm like saying hello to everyone, talking to everyone on the streets. Like, and seriously, when you are in this space, you're in as James Baldwin says, a constant state of anger. And as you say, the anger causes imbalance. But it's hard not to be angry when I walk out of our space and I see the homeless on the street who look like me. and most of them look like me. When I see my brothers and sisters high on whatever drug it is they're taking, this is all you're seeing. When you see yet another building going up, knowing that it's going to block the sun and the air and everything, like it's just, I remember the other day, and now this has become an often statement of mine, I am disgusted by this place. And I know that energy of being disgusted is not good for me, and I have to actively figure out something
Yeah.
else to balance it. But you're right. To be in this space, it's hard to find balance because it's a constant reminder of human dysfunction.
Yeah. And when you're in these cities, you have to have a constant discipline and practice that's going to keep you grounded and elevated. I'm telling you, because then
So
you're going
talk
to get
talk
caught
about
up.
that. Yeah, talk about that. Give us suggestions for that. That would be a nice thing. To show our personal love, our self-love. How can we do that when in the cities?
To cultivate that self love, I would say you have to be intentional with your time and to cultivate practices that are going to keep you grounded and balanced and tap into that heart space. And for me, I like to do that first thing in the morning to set that vibration and intention to begin my day. So for anyone, it could be just finding practices that you like. It could be a movement practice, whether if it's meditation or some kind of movement that gets you back into your body and out of your mind. Because many of us in the Western world, we live and we're overactive in the mind. The mind is the masculine energy. And many of us in the Western world, the masculine energy is very active. It's like doing, 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 doing all the time. You understand? So you need to balance that out by tapping into the feminine aspect of stillness, of meditation, and of awareness. So finding these practices like journaling, moments of stillness where you can connect to your heart center. And I want to say it's not complicated. It's as simple as accessible as your breath that you have right here within you. So wherever you are in any moment of the day, you can pause and deepen your breath and set the intention to return to equilibrium, to balance, and simple rituals throughout your day that bring you back to balance. So many of us, like, we start New Year's resolutions and we make it complicated and then we fall off. But find simple ways, like I said, your breath. But many people want to try like meditation and they figure it's hard to stop the mind. How do you do that? The breath is a portal. So many of us have forgotten how to breathe. And if you look at a baby and you watch a baby laying on its back and it's breathing, the stomach is rising and falling. And if you look, given adult, the breath is very shallow and it's right up here. So if you can deepen your breath and let your abdomen rise, what you're doing is activating the vagus nerve, which is right by your navel. So deep breathing activates the vagus nerve, which is a part of the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is the part of which is about rest and digest. The other side, the sympathetic nervous system, is what most people are in, that fight or flight, that active, that response, you know? So the more that you can deepen the breath, a very simple practice, you can practice like counting your breath, inhaling for a count of 5, 6, 7, 8. The more you do the practice, you'll see that you can deepen and lengthen your breath. So when you inhale, hold the breath, pause. What you're doing is, like, when you pause, you're giving your body a chance to like really capture the oxygen. And then you exhale, you slow the breath down, releasing the stress, all of that stuff, the stale air. So that simple practice of breathing with more awareness and intention, and maybe doing that a few times of your day, is a very powerful practice that is very accessible to anyone.
Thank you for that. My sister, we're talking about, because we talk about spiritual awakening a lot, spiritual awakening, just being ourselves. We Africans are we're talking about love and liberation. We Africans have lost our spiritual connection.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get back there? Because this to me personally, I think that's one of the biggest challenges facing us. Because we've lost our connection. We're talking about nature, being in one with nature. We Africans, and this is who we are as Africans, but we seem to have, we're so focused in the concentration camp that, yeah. Can you speak to that, please?
Can I add my two, because I
Yes.
think they're tied in? Let me add
Yeah.
two others because I think they're tied in. Um, in one of your videos, you talk about, and I agree with your analysis on this, that we women, especially in the West, but today globally, have been forced to be masculine to survive in this masculine patriarchal dominated world, and so much so that some of the women are transforming into actual men, becoming men, because they haven't had the protection that the feminine needs from the masculine. This is not to blame the man, but to find a solution, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
with that, Oladile is asking about the spiritual. I'm certain this is connected to the spiritual, but also talk about Tantra in healing relationships, because I think they're all tied.
Okay, wow. Okay, let me find an anchor point here. So, many years ago, I had this profound insight because I was like looking at what was happening in our communities. Um, a lot of, you can say, sexual confusion. A lot of the women becoming more masculine and even turning into what they call butches. And then the men becoming more effeminized. And I was like, yo, spirit, what's. And I just have these conversations with myself, with spirit, and I have these downloads. And it was just that the imbalance of the home between the masculine and feminine energy. All right. So when a child is created, right, what do you need to create the child? You need matter and energy from the masculine and the feminine. You need that for creation. But what happens when the child is created and birth? It also needs those energies, the masculine and the feminine, to become a whole being and to become fully integrated. But when there's an imbalance of that energy, when there's a single mother, that masculine energy is outside of the home, no longer showing up and protecting. The mother has to become more masculine. If it is a boy and he does not have that masculine energy to imprint and give him that, it's even like it's an energetic transmission that happens that is beyond just the presence of, like, a man is. It's an energetic transmission that happens from both parents from in those pivotal and very formative years. And for a female, when that man isn't there to show her that relationship with the masculine and for her to be able to feel safe, she now has to become more masculine. And what happens a lot of our Black communities is sexual violence and abuse. So when a girl experiences sexual abuse, a few things happen. Some women they learn that being feminine, it only brings them harm, and they become masculine as a way to protect themselves and not to be feminine anymore. They become a man. They become the man that they didn't have to protect them. And then for the men, the boys who don't have the masculine energy to show them and to imprint them of what it means to be a man and see that relationship with the man providing for and protecting and being in beautiful relationship with their mother, they never get to know what that is. And then they're not imprinted with that masculine energy. They have an oversaturation of feminine energy. So now you have so many men online they want to argue. They're very much tapped into their feminine energy, but they don't even know it. So, for the love and the healing and the liberation as a people, Spirit showed me it comes down to doing this work of healing the masculine and feminine on a deeper level within us and being able to heal and resurrect our family and our lineage and our community. And today we need community more than ever because there's a lot of single moms. There's some single dads that I've met as well. I'm a single mother. And it's been a dance for me all these years of learning all these tools and these insights to be able to come into divine balance and to heal my father wounds, to heal my mother wounds, and come to this place of deep balance so that I can bring this message and this wisdom to other people and to inspire that same level of healing and liberation that we need. And when it comes down to the family unit, and nowadays, like I said, we have a lot of broken and fractured homes. We need to come back to community to bring that healing that is necessary. So this calls for different family structures, you know? This might call for some polygamy. It might call for
I was
some
gonna take you there, but thank you for going there.
it might call for some polyandry because I'm gonna be real, a woman like myself, I see that I'm here to create and to build, you can say a queendom. I'm called to build a queendom, and the energy that I have, men don't like to hear this. I might
Mm-mm,
need two or three husbands holding me down and building this thing with me. Or I
mm,
might have a few sister wives at the same time. You know what I mean? It's changing these dynamics of how we relate to love and moving it from lust and seeing love as something that is limited, because
mm.
I realize that I have an infinite capacity to love, and I can love many people at once because my love isn't just tied to the physical and sex and lust. My love is tied to the healing, the divinity that I see in you, and the potential and the actualization that I want, and the elevation and the healing that I want for my people. And what I want for my sister is what I want for myself. You know, what I want for my brother is what I want for myself. So I want to be in a happy union and family structure and dynamics, and I want that for my sisters as well. So, like I said, we need to grow and evolve how we see love and how we relate, and come back to community African consciousness, because all the children are ours. Even
Exactly.
if you don't have a child, you're an auntie. You're in a community with other children that need you to show up and to hold space, and they need all of us to have this understanding and the awareness and the responsibility to show up and really love on each other.
Um, I'm glad you said that because even in our languages, and I'm getting ready now to go into a field of study where I'll do the research to prove my point that I keep making, that the evidence is in our African languages of how we should relate to each other. In Kiubuntu, otherwise known as Swahili, the mother side is all mothers. So my mother's elder sister is Mama Mkubwa, big mother. My mother's younger sister is Mama Mdogo, small mother. And on my father's side, the whole father's side is the masculine. So my father's elder brother is Baba Mkubwa, my big father. So they are all responsible for ensuring that that masculine upbringing is held down. And my mother's side is, so there's no, oh, this is not my child, this is my sister's child. No, there's no such thing. This is my child.
Mm-hmm.
Their well-being is my responsibility. And at back at home to this day, you will see people who are still in this is my daughter, an uncle, but this is my daughter, because that is what you are. um whew. In a world like ours today, where we are so westernized, it is so hard to tell a woman that she may need to take another sister on with her man to build family, or to tell a man that we may need to take another man on with us to build our family. How does that look like? So, for example, myself and Oladile are both planning to get back home on the motherland. And the structures we're building are going to be communal. It's not going to be me buying a piece
Mm.
of land to build my home. No, it's going to be communal. So
Communal, yeah.
let's say I'm there and I'm with my partner. We're there, we're building, and we're going to build structures that different families can live, but the community is together. And so I'm with my partner, the male, and we know of certain people in the community, men who've had trouble finding a good woman, because as we see, it's become such a wretched world out here. People are all busy trying to twerk and get butt extensions instead of building family, right?
Yes, yes.
But in that community, we need to build the homes. We need to fence. We need to garden. We need the places some of us are looking at these wild animals. We need to protect us, but also we need the male protection from outside invaders. So I sit down with my partner and I say, "Hey, I know of two other men. We need to bring them in to help us. Are you willing to expand our family?" Or
Mm-hmm.
we're going to need to teach the children, to feed the children. And my partner and I sit down and say, we need to bring two other sisters, one other sister to help us build
Mm-hmm.
the family. And like I said, we hear sex and we shy away, but sexual interaction is a part of our balance as human beings. And therefore, your partner might have to give that balance to that sister. Your partner, the female of the man, might have to give that balance to the brother. So this way of thinking is so far from our mindset, Sister Shanika.
Yeah. And it's important for us to start having these conversations and dialogues to expand our awareness and find new solutions, because the ideas and solutions that we've been given are not working. So it's very important as we move forward to be having these conversations to open our minds to different structures and start doing that deeper healing work and planting those seeds, because many of us are jealous. We have these conditionings to think that if someone
Absolutely.
loves, if he loves her, that means he doesn't love me. There's a level of insecurity and conditioning that we've been given. So open up the space so we can have the dialogue and talk about these things is very important.
But the
And
men, mhm.
mhm.
The men
And then
also, uh-huh.
even sex is very healing and liberating. But what I've been seeing is that, like I said, many of us relate to sex in order to get love and attention from the opposite sex.
Yeah,
Stemming from our core parent wounds and the love that we didn't receive. We use sex as an outlet to get that energy. And as a man and woman, as humanity, I feel like we need to take sex out of the equation for a minute and learn how to be brothers and sisters and friends who really love each other beyond any kind of extraction, whether if it's time, energy, attention, love from this person. So this is when it comes back to loving ourselves and doing that deeper healing work and seeing these patterns within ourselves. So we're not just out here relating through our private parts and wanting the attention and the love and the lust and doing our booties or our breasts. Because when it comes down to it, the people who are doing these things, they're wanting attention and love, and they've been taught that men are visual creatures and that's how you get it. You got to look
exactly.
this way. So we pour all this attention into the physical and we don't do the deeper healing work. You understand? So we just got to keep going deep and being open and willing to do something different.
But for our men on the opposite, they too need to start seeing us beyond the physical. Like it's not just we,
Yes.
because
No,
they
no, no.
are the
It's
cause
men.
of us
It's
behaving.
men and women, and
Exactly.
and understanding that sexual energy is spiritual energy. We've been conditioned by religion to think that it is not spiritual, and because we have that split mind now, we see that sex is
Hmm.
this one thing. It's not sacred, it's not spiritual. But at a very deeper level, a very African level, we know that sex, this energy is the energy of creation and that opens portals and brings spirits into this world. So how can this not be something spiritual? unless it's being hidden from you so that you don't tap in on deeper levels and understand that this energy is energy of creation. So if you're not creating a child, what are you creating with this sexual spiritual energy?
Mm,
How can
mm.
we direct it and utilize it on a higher level, not just lust, not just rubbing body parts together, but how can we utilize this tantric energy of creation to heal ourselves, to actualize, to manifest, and to create?
You
So
know,
this
funny
is what I'm excited about.
funny enough, but before I say what I was gonna say, I'm going to say, for the men who choose to be in those relationships, the reason why there continues to be jealousy is because you're not balancing the attention you give to your women. And that has to be done. If you choose to have more than one partner, you have to be a master of balance and giving equal treatment to your women so that there's no lack. Um,
Hmm. And
but
you have to have emotional intelligence, because I sad to say, many people are not honest and really open with their intentions and
exactly.
what they're doing. We've been taught to play
Exactly.
games and to
Yeah.
manipulate.
Thank
And
you.
I look online and I see all these like dating advice and love advice, and it's all based on westernized
Lies.
concepts of manipulating and getting and extracting from someone what you want. It's very selfish.
Transactional.
It's transactional. There you go. So we need to elevate the whole thing and be having these conversations and exploring and doing the deeper work to elevate ourselves and each other. And it takes honesty, clear communication, responsibility, integrity, and a lot of vulnerability, because a lot of us need healing and we're afraid to admit it and get the help that we need.
There's a reason why when you see the nasty woman at work, we say she needs to get laid. Right now, I'm going there with the sex to show the importance of it. There's a reason why we say that, and there's a reason why you see men who have not been sexually uh, gratified or satisfied are very, the energy is very you know. So
Yeah.
the advantage again of sexual interactions, and I'll call them that, interactions, because they should be more than intercourse, it should be interactions. And it should start with, from, it should always be from a gentle place. It is not about dominating. So if you're having sex and you're thinking domination, you're not doing it right. Right. So speak to and that's why I asked you to speak about tantra. So here we come back to tantra with this. Speak to the gentle nature of sex and how it empowers us. So the man who needs to release so that he can have a clear mind, so that he can function in his place. The woman who needs to be um, filled with that masculine energy that connects with her so that she can rise and be her full self. Talk about how
Mm.
tantra, how we should ground our sexual relations in a tantra way, to be more a gentle connection of the spirits of the two entities and not just the physical interaction.
Interaction, yeah. So everything is energy, and a part of the work that we're here to do is to tune in and tap into energy. So you can cultivate your relationship with your own body to be able to feel and become more sensitive to energy, the energy movement in your body, energy blockages, and to be able to feel on a deeper level. So when it comes to tantra, you can do tantra alone. And if you are celibate and not having sex and relating with a partner in that way, this is a deep opening and invitation to develop a deeper relationship with yourself, more intimacy, to know how to work with your own energies and knowing your own cycles of, how the energy moves within you. Because for women, I was just even thinking about this today in the last few days. I see that when I'm in different parts of my cycle during the month, I see that my sexual energy is different. I see when I'm in this heightened energy and I feel like I feel it. I see how I show up differently, how I dress, and even how men can pick up on that energy and relate to me. And then at times when I'm at a particular part of my cycle and I feel like maybe being more inward and resting, and I don't even feel like it. I have my little sweatpants on, or I'm a little bit more, just relaxed. It's the awareness of our cycles of energy, our sexual energy, and how to work with it, whether if we're alone and single and celibate, or if we're with a partner. And relationships are beautiful mirrors for us to explore and experience not only ourselves but other people. It's a beautiful mirror. So the opportunity to elevate our sexual relationships and relating with other people is the opportunity that we have. So when you're even relating with someone, you you can elevate it to see how you are the divine feminine, this person is the divine masculine. And through your union, it's like God coming together, and it's this beautiful act of devotion. That's what Tantra is, this act of love and devotion. And through that union, you are creating and accessing, tapping into this love, energy, and frequency. That when you open the heart, you open the womb and you connect, you open the throat, the third eye, all these centers are open, and the sexual energy is able to flow. It brings healing, it brings balance. So when you're not having sex and you're not aware of the energies and how they're flowing and how to tap in and redirect and activate them, you can experience where that imbalance, where now you're angry because you're not having that release, or all these things. But it comes all back down to awareness, your intention. So we need to, when we come together in these unions, be more intentional, be more aware of how our energy is being projected and impacting other people. And it's a level of self mastery that all of this provides an opportunity for us to go on that journey and that process of. So it's not a destination. Even sex, I think the Western world has conditioned us to see things as a destination. I got to get there. I got to get there. Process. Even sex. If your aim is the destination of climax, missing the whole process of this conversation, relationship that we're having, being able to tap into this energy and open yourself up, direct that energy.
It's interesting you say that, and I'll say this quickly, Oladele, and then we can move on away from sex. I think we have made these Christians and religious people too uncomfortable on a Sunday morning. So the word climax means the height of something, which means you've been experiencing pleasure the whole time. You should have been experiencing pleasure the whole time. And climax is the height of the pleasure. So for those of us, and it's interesting, I'm also seeing it as far as men when they say, I have to sleep with that girl, right? I have to get that girl. So that's their destination. And that's why we have one night stands, because once they do, that's it, right?
That's it, yeah.
Once they do, that's it. It's not this woman, I'm attracted to her. What am I attracted to her? What about her? I want to be around this all the time. I want her to make me feel this way all the time. So there is commitment, right? And it's not just, I need to get in her panties and that's it. I'm there. We're done. I'm moving on to the next one. So there's a lot of healing on both the female and the male, the Wana Ubuntu African, so that we can ground ourselves back in a spiritual. Again, this is all our spirituality. Everything we do is our spirit, our sports, our eating, our cooking. For those who are going to eat, it's all the energy you have when you're making food is going to go into the people you're making the food for. So
Yeah.
it's all spiritually connected. Oladele, you had a question. You're muted, brother.
You talk about Shanika. You're talking about your eco village, your the things you're doing. Can you tell us a bit more? Because, like Unduku said, it's something that we also are going to do. Getting back to nature.
Before she does, can I
Mm-hmm.
detour her? Because I want this to be her last word. Can I detour her
Okay.
real quick? And I
Okay.
don't think it's a detour, right? I don't think it's a
Okay.
detour because it's important.
All right.
We have someone in the audience that asked whether you are the star of Naked and Afraid. I was not going to bring this up, but I want to bring it up in the sense of survival, right? Because we need to understand that. Talk about that in where was your mind and your spirit in allowing you to survive under those conditions, because I think that's the important part. And when I say those conditions, I'm not just talking about the nature conditions. I'm also talking about the fact
Mm-hmm.
that this is a white show, you're around white people, so all of it. Where was your mind
Yeah.
and your spirit to get you to get through that?
Well, yes. Whoever in the audience, I am the lady of from Naked and Afraid. I like to say that before I went on that survival show, I was a survivor from a long time. You know, growing up in the Western world under these conditions, we're all survivors
Yeah.
on some level. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so the goal is to get beyond surviving to thriving, and that's my goal and my vision for the Eco Village movement. Um, but I realized that before I got on this show, I was already cultivating the connection and the practices for me to be able to navigate in the world and to not only survive but to thrive. And those are the spiritual practices, the nature connection, the deeper work that many of us are being called to return to, the ways of our ancestors. So before I got on that show, I was out in nature. I was learning the plants. I was connecting spiritually to the land and listening to the rivers and the trees and really tapping in deeply. So I really believe that opportunity to go on that show was just like an opportunity to show the world what is possible when we fully connect and open to the nature and see ourselves as not something that is separate from nature, but a part of it. And we're learning to tap into those innate gifts and abilities to deeply connect and to feel and to communicate and to have that conversation with the natural world and our ancestors. Um, it was a beautiful experience. Like it's 21 days and what you've seen is like 45 minutes, condensed. So you don't fully see the experience and the depth and the conversation and the connection that I have with the natural world. And it's still one of those climax experiences in my life to be able to be in nature in that rawness and that connection. It was definitely very challenging, but it was definitely, I feel like, an initiation from nature, um, on a whole nother level beyond just a TV show. This was something that was just meant to happen, to you can say record that in the earth or in the human psyche or the memory of the people who watch it, to experience that level of connection that I have and have experienced, because I've had many people write me, of how just watching it has impacted them and inspired them to, be more connected to nature and to themselves and to cultivate their spiritual selves.
Yeah. Tapping into what you're saying, the Shanika. Everybody is now moving away from nature to the concentration camps, is what I call
To
it.
the artificial. Hmm.
Yeah, they call them concentration camps because they're all in a prison without them realizing it.
Yeah.
So how do we get back? Because like I was saying, you're talking about the eco village. It's something I have plans to, because if you've
Hmm.
seen the private chat when you were talking, me and Nuku understand each other. We say, we cannot wait to get back home
Yeah,
because we need to
yeah.
be in nature. And most people are trying to aspire to get to the concentration camps. Can you tell people?
Yeah.
Can
Well,
you
basically,
explain why?
as we move forward, I already see it. There's going to be two tracks. There's going to be people who are going more into that artificial matrix, and people
Mm,
who are seeking more nature connection and community and spiritual depth. And
mm.
it's just going to kind of branch off into two alternate dimensions and worlds, you can say, you know?
Wow.
So the more that you put those intentions out there, the more that you actually do the deeper healing work, you are going to magnetize and attract the people, your soul tribe who has the same mission and vision. So
Absolutely.
for me, I already see the healing and the liberation of peoples and the connection to the land and how we need to get back to that. And I want to say many years ago, I studied permaculture. It was one of the things I was deeply interested in. And I got my permaculture design certificate. And one of the things that came up in that course was eco villages. That's how I learned about eco villages. And once I heard that idea, I was like, what? That's brilliant. That is brilliant. That is like your golden ticket out of the matrix. To have land, because in this reality, colonization, capitalism, all of our basic needs have now been commodified, and it's now modern day slavery. To eat, to do anything, you need to have money. And how most of us are shown to make money is to go work for somebody. You understand? So to switch your understanding that you are the money, you are the currency, you are the abundance, and when you can tap into source and access that, you're creating another level of currency and spiritual abundance for it to manifest here in your reality. So this is what eco villages are. That manifestation of deep alignment and nature connection, and being able to actualize it in real time in this dimension so that we can experience heaven on earth, not the religious conditioning to wait to experience that when we die, right now. So how can we do that? We need the basic necessities. We need clean air, we need good soil, the foundation of human connection and thriving. It's the same for all of us. Let's not make it complicated. We need connection, we need good food, we need sunlight, we need clean water, we need purposeful work in the world, we need meaning in the world. All these things can be found what I like to call in the eco village solution.
Thank you so much. You're speaking to my soul. Yeah.
Oladile and
Okay.
I will be
Yeah.
catching the next flight to come to you.
Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
excited as we move forward and to see what y'all are building and what I'm building here. I'm in
Me
Colombia,
very.
and I'm just doing this work of helping to liberate my people so that
Yeah.
we can now unify and take our resources and put it to good and real, worthy uses.
Yeah.
So, we're all working for the money, but how can we take that, and instead of investing it in the artificial matrix and buying more bullshit, how can we take those resources and collectively unify and pool them together for our freedom and our liberation? We can collectively own land. We can help each other build houses. You don't need a $200, $300, $400,000 house, which is made of toxic material. You can build a house for a few $1,000s with your community and the manpower and the skills that we have. You understand? So can you imagine like a group of 10 people? We
Yep.
say this month we're going to build you know, we're going to build this person's house, all
Yep.
working together, build a
That's how
house.
the Maasai do it. That's
The house is built debt free. We move on, build the next house. We build communal spaces. We're growing food. Everyone now is off of the artificial matrix where we're working for money, and we're actually working for the freedom and liberation and the healing of our peoples by actualizing and tapping into our gifts and manifest that in real time through the our soulful expression of how we want to
Ooh.
actualize that energy in real time, whether if it's your teaching, whether you're growing food, whether you're working with children. The vision is beyond you. and any selfish desires you have for just money or wealth or comfort.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you for that. Okay, just in running up, we got a couple of questions here. Let me just bring him up. Uh, Shanika, I'm glad you're here on the series, man. You've been a blessing. Thank you very much.
I'm glad to be
Okay,
here.
yeah. Okay, just gonna go. Not all of them are relevant. Let's go for this one here. Um, is homosexuality an ingrained part of Muzungu culture? If so, is this lifestyle simply transferred into so-called AA? Was that AA social spaces by
African
proximity,
American social
uh,
spaces.
by proximity or by other means? Can you see? Can you
Uh-huh.
see the? Yeah,
I see the
I mean,
question.
you
yeah.
have to ask yourself, why
And
is it predominant in America and not elsewhere? But go on,
no, we
sister.
we touched on it earlier
Yeah.
about
Yeah, you did.
okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we touched on it earlier a little bit about how a lot of the sexual deviation and confusion comes from trauma and broken homes and dysfunctional systems. It's a part of that is the manifestation of colonization, the colonized mind, and how we relate and view things. So I do believe that it is a part of the deviation and the sickness of Western white culture, if you want to call it that. And a lot of it has now is social conditioning and programming for us to believe that it is just natural or how people are. Many people don't want to talk about the root of trauma that
Mm-hmm.
causes that deviation, that many people are deeply hurt and they turn to these, other vices or just not knowing themselves. So I do believe that, there are certain cultures that talk about, they call them like two spirits, or they relate differently to sexual energy, or they're more androgynous. There are instances of that in different cultures, but that's not what we're talking about, and
No.
people like to bring up the two and confuse it. It's not what we're seeing today in the social conditioning and the programming that we're getting. That is not what we're seeing. We're not talking about the spiritual, deeply more rooted aspect of how that can manifest in a more harmonious society. What we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about is a deviation, and we're talking about the expression of trauma and just kind of brokenness.
And
So the
here's
more,
mhm,
mhm.
mhm. Here's a question to solidify, and hopefully it triggers a thought that can help you explain it further. Why is it that the men who are feminized always tend to have the worst of the feminine characters?
Because it's an imbalance where, wow, how can I express this? How can I express this?
Like they are gossiping all the time. They are arguing with you all the time.
Yeah,
They take the worst. They don't take the good. They don't take the
the good, yeah,
nurturing. It's
yeah.
always the worst. They want to
Because
show their parts, their
because
sexual parts. Like,
when you're in what you would call toxic masculinity, or the
Mm.
dysfunctional aspect of the masculine energy, where it's not at its height, it's naturally a disconnection from the feminine and the more the expression of the feminine energy. So it is also a suppression of that divine feminine energy. So now it manifests as dysfunction. This is
yep,
what we're seeing.
yep, yep. Because if indeed this is natural, and I am born a man, and I realize that I am feminine, you should show the best of the feminine characteristics, the nurturing. Like our society should
Hmm.
be so, especially because there's so many now, our society should be not lacking in nurturers. We
Yeah.
should be such a successful, peaceful, and so there's something.
Yeah, there's a
Mm,
deviation. And what what
yeah.
what you understand is, like I said, we're both masculine and feminine energies. But if you're a man, you naturally have more testosterone. You naturally have more masculine energy that is called for you to express. But if you're not tapping into that masculine energy, you're tapping into the dysfunction where now you're disconnected from the feminine, because the masculine, we are masculine and feminine in relation to each other.
Mhm.
There is no separation. You understand? I am because you are. I'm a
Mm,
woman because you're a man and I'm in relation to you and we're relating. You understand?
brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you.
So when there is not that relating in right relation to the feminine or the masculine, there is actually the disconnection and the suppression of that right expression of that energy.
Yeah, basically what you're saying here is, based on what you're saying, Shanika, we have been taught a lot of lies all our lives.
All our lives, yeah.
We've been taught a lot of lies, and one of the hardest challenges for us people is to basically re-educate ourselves and become who we truly are. And as I see
Yeah.
every day, a lot of people resist to get back to who they really need to be. They just so want to fit into that destructive nature that they
Mhm.
lose themselves so badly. And when
Yeah.
you are saying what you're saying, people seem to get lost, but we need to get back to nature.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the
And
only way.
in the chat, a brother commented, Channel Yin, he said, deviant sexual behavior is a part of the plan of recreation over procreation, debauchery over divinity. And it's true.
Mm,
It's
mm,
true. We're purposely being taught debauchery and not how to really actualize and
Yeah.
express the sexual energy that we have, the creative energy that we have.
mm,
We're taught to channel it and and waste this energy in ways that are not productive, that are not actualizing the divinity that we are.
mm.
You know what?
So
We've been intentional about language, and I'm going to take from you and send out a call to action to all of us to stop referring to it as sex and start referring to it as creative energy, because in that way you center yourself in that aspect. Like
that,
when i
yeah.
when I engage with my partner, are we creating?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have to be life, it has to be life building. Are we
Yes.
creating, and what are we creating? But
And we
speak
need
to it.
to and we need to also look at it as a ceremony.
That a ritual.
A ceremony
I,
and
I I agree. I
ritual.
agree because we've just everything. We just bastardized everything. We just taking the meaning away and make it so commodified and so transactional that we just
A lot of us don't even get take time as a ceremony should. We start the ceremony, you set up, and where tantra comes in, and you can speak to this because I'm sure you're more researched in the area, where you don't start immediately by going penetrating the woman. You start by building up and bringing out that energy in both of
And
yourselves, and
opening
that's
opening the
connecting
heart.
spiritually.
Yes, yes. And you know when we're engaged in that ceremony, that's one way to experience and express that energy. But as I've been learning and being on this path of love and liberation, I realize I can access that level of spiritual, sexual, creative energy in every moment. And that is what the feminine embodies. You
mm,
understand? And I've been able to experience that more and more in my daily life, in my practices, in going to the water and connecting to the water. You naturally open yourself up to be able to feel and work with these energies of creation. Because while it is sexual in your body, while it is creative, it is expressed in other ways in nature that we can tap into. And everything is vibration and frequency. So I'm learning how to tap in and access these very powerful states to create in this reality. And sex is one way we can activate that energy, that sacred portal,
Mm.
to then be intentional with that energy and to direct it. So many of us, we've talked about the disconnection that all of us experience. But I like to spin that for a minute. We are always connected. We are spiritual beings. We can never be disconnected. It is our awareness and understanding of who we are and being able to tap in and access that space. And this is why so many things have been intentionally done to distract us, to program us, and to keep us suppressed and oppressed. When you take a natural man and a natural woman and you put them back into the natural environment, you give them the natural foods, they are able to open up to nature, have time for stillness. These things and these gifts will naturally unfold and open up and evolve. And as a people, we used to have rites of passage where the elders, the ones that are initiated adults, the ones that are tapped in and they know what's up, were now responsible. And it was an honor and privilege to teach the next generation and to pass on these tools, these gems of wisdom. This is our legacy.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Much.
much.
Thank you. Very appreciate you, my sister. Just to round up, we as it's a tradition on our podcast, we ask our last guest to leave a question for you, and you're gonna
Mm,
do vice versa as well. Okay.
mm,
So the question he left for the last question our brother Shakara left for you is: give an example of an indigenous African organization
Oh,
that can be evolved, so build to fulfill the needs of modern African times.
mm.
mm,
Well, I would say that's always easy for me. I'm Jamaican and
hey,
my roots are deeply rooted. I mentioned the brother earlier, the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the example that he put in us to be African minded.
Mm,
He said, look back to Africa, build a Black Star Liner. We need our own resources. We have our own resources
we
that we
do.
now need to realize and utilize for our freedom and liberation. So
mm,
he showed us a big example of unity and what happens when we can unify and do for ourselves and to come back to that community mindset and away from that individualized, westernized mindset. So as a people, we need to reorient under one banner of the red, the black, and the green. And you can
Yeah.
put some gold on that because Africa, we got the gold too.
yep.
We
One
have to.
Africa,
Yes.
one Africa, one nation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that, man. You because you
And and
basically,
and,
yeah,
and
go on.
quickly, Oladele, that organization, as Brother Shakara told us
Yeah,
in our last gathering, is Universal Negro Improvement Association,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
UNIA. So,
UNIA, yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he did a lot of the work and left for good examples and things that we can tap into and to be able to evolve it, with the
Mm.
tools and the technology that we have. Can you imagine if Marcus Garvey had Instagram?
Shoo!
Yeah.
Whoa! Yo, talk
So,
about white
so
fragility on steroids.
Mm.
listen.
Thank
So
you, my sister. Thank you.
right
Okay,
now,
can you please leave a question for our next guest for us, please? We
But
need a
quickly,
question
that
for.
thought,
Yeah.
that thought that Sister Shanika had, quickly, what was
Mm.
it? Finish it, and then you can give your
Okay,
I
go
question.
would
on.
say right now we have the spirit of our ancestors. We are the Marcus Garveys right now in this time, and we have access to these tools, and we have to
Yes,
use them for our liberation and elevation.
I
So,
agree.
yes, one vision I have is to create these independent platforms so we can get off of these
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank
controlled
you.
yeah,
platforms where we can really go in and go deeper and be able to
yeah,
channel our energies
Thank you.
yeah,
to build and stop wasting our time scrolling.
yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
So
we're on the same path. We're on the same vision. Just let's connect, guys. And this is why we do this. We're connecting. We are connecting ourselves. We're not doing this frivolously. We're basically
yes,
connecting the energies, people who are
yes,
like-minded, who are decolonized in the mind, who are ready to do the work. That's why we're here.
And I will get rid of you real quick if you're not aligned. I don't have time for accommodating. No, for real. In the last 3 years, we've lost a lot of people because of that.
Yep.
yeah,
You can call me
Yep.
a dictator all you want, but yes, I am dictating you to liberation.
yeah.
Go on, brother.
Thank you, my sister. Okay, can you leave a question for our next guest, please?
So the question for the next guest would be, hmm, hmm. I would say, hmm, love and liberation.
Mm.
Love and liberation. Love and liberation. So something with love and liberation. Hmm.
I'm so
I
tempted.
would say through whatever work they do, how are they channeling that into love and liberation for their people in
Mm,
practical ways?
mm,
Mm.
I like that.
Because,
How are
like
they
I said, like
challenging it?
we've been saying, you can't have the liberation without the love.
Yeah, brilliant. That's a very, very good one, man. Because it's all interconnected. It's all interlinked.
Oh, say
Hmm.
that one more time. How are you challenge
Channeling it.
Channeling
whatever work you do? How are you
you're
channeling
doing
that? Hmm.
in the spirit of love and liberation, because you can't have one without the other. Yeah, because I would say the liberation is the masculine energy, the work that we're doing in real time, and the love is the state of being and the deeper healing work that we're doing, the feminine, so they complement and work together. We can't have
Yeah.
one without the other.
I agree.
Thank you very much. My sister Shanika, it's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute joy. I've listened. You've taken me to school and back.
We wish you
So
well in everything you're doing, and we look forward to connecting as we
yeah.
continue to build our global, united African One Ubuntu community.
My sister, you're part of our family now. We're a community, so we're gonna be reaching out to you. Before you
Yes,
go,
always
please give us your handles, please, so people can reach out to you and connect with you. What are your handles?
you can find me. I'm most active right now on Instagram, and it's Moon Child Healing, one word, and underscore SM for Shanika Malcolm. You can find me there and find all the links and ways to connect with me.
Okay, thank you very much, my sister. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of our community, and we appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be
And
well, be well.
thanks for everybody for watching and being part of the community. And we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much.
Kila laheri. Maybe
Love and
sooner.
liberation.
Kila laheri.
Maybe